Oh, 4chan
Yeah, that would be dangerous.
Why? What's 4chan?
Just look it up. Look it up.
Okay.
Yeah, the B board of 4chan.
Yeah, I've only heard of 4chan, like, in passing. I was not part of the whole 4chan thing.
Kyle is a child of 4chan.
He's a child of 4chan?
Yeah, so if you get to know Kyle, you'll be like, oh my god, I don't want to ever visit 4chan.
Well, from what I've seen of Kyle, he seems like an interesting person.
Yes. No, it's hilarious. You should go on there. It's like people just posting memes and it's like troll practice.
Practicing being a troll.
Mm-hmm.
All of my troll practice took place under a bridge.
Mine took place in a tree cave.
In the tree cave?
And I turned children into wooden statues. and some witch was all like, throw milk on her. And I was like, ah! Milk, my weakness. No.
Such a good movie. So Ernest Goes to Camp. That was the one that I couldn't think of last week.
Oh.
I was like trying to name all the Ernest movies, and
I don't think I saw that one. Oh, maybe I did.
that was the first one I ever saw.
Mom's the first one I ever saw. Your mom goes to camp.
My mom does go to camp.
Jason Voorhees' mom went to camp.
Yeah, she did.
She went to camp.
She wrecked some stuff in camp.
She tore that shit up.
So,
we just watched Poultrygeist.
yes, we did. This is episode 2. I'm Mike Keltner once again.
I'm Malaria.
Indeed.
You'll catch me.
Just do be careful about that. And yes, we did just finish Poultrygeist. It's a nice little film.
Poultrygeist, not Poltergeist.
This is the latest release, sadly, of director Lloyd Kaufman, part of the the Trauma team, Trauma universe, you know. And well, let's just, I guess we should describe it, shouldn't we?
It's everything you think it is.
Pretty much.
Just imagine it. That's what it is.
I suppose we should mention that the subtitle is Night of the Chicken Dead, so
That's clever.
it is, yeah. So yeah, I remember waiting for this movie for a long time because I've always been a Trauma fanboy, and let me tell you something. When you're waiting for those movies to come out, they take forever.
It's been 6 years since this came out.
One, yeah.
So we're waiting for Toxic Avenger 5.
And
it's been 6 years.
Exactly. And so there are all these showings I couldn't go to because they were all in like New York and whatever. And finally I ended up getting it on DVD when it finally came out, watching it, and I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Really awesome.
Indeed. I'm like, if you've never seen a Trauma movie, one thing that will be said is they do their best to gross you out, and that part of it not such a fan of, but they're also silly and funny. I mean, this one's part musical, part zombie film, part lesbian activism. I can't talk. You know, just all the things you expect in a good summer comedy.
Mm-hmm.
But but yeah, it's sadly it is 6 years old. We're waiting on the next one now.
I first heard about Poultrygeist last year. I was actually going to, I think it was at Gen Con.
Mm-hmm.
It was at Gen Con, and I went to the showing of Cannibal the Musical, and they showed all the previews for all the other Trauma films. And Poultrygeist was on there, and I was like, oh my god, I have to see this. and I just watched it for the first time. It was pretty awesome.
This is this is about my third time watching it.
It is centered around a really nerdy guy, and he's one of those protagonists who is kind of retarded. Like, they're like, this is how you defeat the Poultrygeist, and he's like, gee, shut up, woman, you don't know what you're talking about. I wonder if I do this exact same thing, if that will beat them. So,
and he's got a girlfriend who turns out to be a lesbian after her first semester in college, and well, she's not a whole lot brighter, but she at least figured out the way to kill the zombies before her boyfriend, or the Poultrygeist chicken thingies. But so there's that sound again.
Like a pirate.
But yeah, so there's this whole. I mean, like, obviously this is about KFC. It's a fast food restaurant, and it's called American Chicken Bunker.
Or more recently, it's about Chick-fil-A. He totally predicted this whole fiasco that's going on lately. He was like, lesbians are gonna hate Chick-fil-A for some reason.
Yeah.
And no.
That does kind of work. Lloyd Kaufman, he is a visionary. Actually, the movie was made because there's a McDonald's that moved in next door to the Troma headquarters. And as soon as the McDonald's moved in, they started getting rats. And this irritated Lloyd Kaufman, and so he decided to write a story about the evils of fast food. But
last time I saw Lloyd Kaufman, not in real life, but in a preview, or it was one of those pre-movie kind of shorts things.
Mm-hmm.
The Tromaville headquarters was basically a cardboard box in an alley. So I'm not surprised that he had rats.
Yeah, they must have downsized a bit. They used to have a nice little building in New York. Actually, New Jersey, I think the first one was.
Well, he was just going on and saying that, he's poor, so buy movies from his website, because they had to downsize to this cardboard box that can fit like one person at a time. And the whole time I was thinking, why don't you put ads on your YouTube videos?
Well,
Because I would watch them. You'd make like 50 cents off of me a day.
Well, that's not Lloyd Kaufman's style, really. He's all about self-promotion, but not promoting other people's stuff. As a matter of fact, he's got a bit of a hatred for corporate America. So that might have something to do with it.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, so...
In which case, buy his stuff. Go to his website, buy all of his things, even if you have a copy.
That you should. I can vouch that every Troma movie is an experience. Not always a particularly good one. They're all an experience. One other Troma movie that I highly recommend is a little film called Decapitated.
Decapitated?
Decapitated.
Does it have to do with camp?
It does. It is pretty much a ridiculously silly, kind of self-aware murder in a camp storyline. These people go to this really spooky travel agent, and they're like, "We're looking for someplace to camp," and he's like, "You don't need a travel agent for camping," and so. So these guys go out into the woods and they start camping, and of course somebody comes around and starts killing people. Except he's not very good at it, and so they only stay dead for a little bit, and then they end up fixing most of their wounds with duct tape. And maybe I'm not making it sound as awesome as it is, but it's one of those movies. I just kind of picked it up. I was buying a bunch of Troma movies. Sometimes they sell them cheap, and I'm like, I'm gonna pop this one in, and it turned out to be really an enjoyable kind of inside comedy horror film thing.
the way you're describing it kind of reminds me of Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
It is actually very similar, and I'm glad you mentioned Tucker and Dale versus Evil, because that is an amazing movie that we should talk about.
We should. And we've gone from talking about zombie Poultrygeist to camp movies.
Yes.
We found the subject for our podcast, camping movies.
Camping movies are actually one of my all-time favorites. Anything that involves people dying in a camp, I'm all about. This probably comes from, Evil Dead 2. And, like, my favorite franchise in horror of all time has always been Friday the 13th.
I love Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th is awesome.
Part 1, Part 2, Part 7.
Granted, I had not seen the first one.
Oh, Part 3 was awesome.
Part 3, yeah.
It was in 3D. It's the really old campy 3D where everything is either bright red or bright blue. So you can really tell that when a girl is wearing a bright blue sweater that her tits were probably supposed to pop out at you.
Yeah.
Or if a pole is like really bright red and it's like you can tell. It's like
Yeah, the idea of a horror movie in 3D was probably pretty new back then, and yeah, that was a good little
gimmick. It came out in like 1984 or something. I don't know. You should look it up.
Yeah, I should. I will look it up on these stuff. But yes, so aside from
Mike, I should look it up because you can't surf and think.
Yeah, but aside from that, back to Tucker and Dale versus the Evil for a minute. This is this amazing little film featuring Wash from Firefly and Serenity.
Alan Tudyk.
Or you could just do the actual name that Malaria here.
Or you could just do the actual name that Malaria said.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, it has him, and it has another guy whose name I don't know, but he's in the show Reaper as a character named Sock. That's his biggest thing right now, I guess.
Oh.
But it's these two hillbillies who get a summer home in the middle of the woods.
Friday the 13th, Part 3, 1982.
Indeed.
Part 3D. That's what it says on the cover. The old cover of it, it says Friday the 13th, Part 3, 3D.
And this got this nice little poster. It's showing the outline of Jason Voorhees, and this blade is like coming towards you.
Yeah.
With blood dripping off of it.
And the D is bleeding.
Indeed.
Oh, Penny, stop chewing on stuff.
We have a dog here. He's chewing on things.
She likes to make a lot of noise.
But yeah, these two hillbillies, they get a summer home, which is pretty much just a really broken down cabin in the middle of these kind of not fancy woods. And so they run into this group of like college kids who are going to go camp for the weekend. And the college kids mistake them for murderers.
Yeah, the college kids freak out, especially when they're all going swimming at night and one of their friends falls off like a diving cliff and she's like drowning in the water, and Tucker and Dale like save her. They pull her up into their fishing boat, and the other kids are like, oh my god, they've got Allison, and they're like, we got your friend. trying to
be like, hey, we've got her, she's safe, you can come get her. But
yeah, and then they all run away, and so Tucker and Dale take her back to the cabin and clean her up a little bit, give her some clothes and
some food.
Make sure she's okay. She's got like a concussion going on, and like all the other teenagers are like, oh my god, they're gonna murder her. So they try to save her, and they end up killing themselves.
Yeah, they just, for whatever reason, end in these like very suggestive positions where one of the guys is like mulching some wood, and the guy tries to tackle him and falls into the wood chipper, and so it looks like the guy threw him in there, but really he was just kind of like, "Whoa, this guy just jumped in my wood chipper, and he's trying to save him. He's trying to pull him out by his legs, and eventually he gets just the legs out." And,
or the bees.
oh,
Or they're
yeah.
running through it, or one of them's sawing some, or like chainsawing some stumps or something, and he saws through a hornet's nest, and he's just like, "Oh my god, there's bees!" So he's waving this chainsaw around, getting attacked by bees. The teenagers are like, "Whoa, crazy dude with the chainsaw!" And so he starts running through the woods, and like all the kids scatter, and like one of the kids is like running like right next to him, and the bees are chasing them. You can see the bees in the close up, and then the kid just like runs right into a stick, and impales himself on this fallen tree, and like everyone's like, "Oh no, he murdered Jimmy."
yeah. So, that's the basic plot line, and it's really funny, and it's a good story. It's well done. It's an enjoyable film all the way around.
There is an actual antagonist in that movie. We're just telling you the funny bits.
Yeah.
It's an actual movie. Go see it. Or watch it. Don't steal it off the internet.
You don't have to steal it off the internet. It is, last time I checked, on Netflix, so it's really easy to get.
Yeah, get it on Netflix.
Steal
it from the internet.
Or, that. But yeah, so camp movies. We've mentioned a couple of good ones here, going back to the Friday the 13th series. I started off, I think, on Friday the 13th, like 5 or 6. I have no clue exactly.
One of them's got one of the Corys in it.
That would be 4.
Yeah.
Corey Feldman is in 4.
We're gonna see the Cory stack soon.
Yes, for those of you who do not know, Corey Feldman owns a stack in Atlanta.
It's dedicated to both Corey Feldman and Haim.
Yes, thanks to the after the untimely death of Corey Haim, it became somewhat of a memorial. But yes, Corey Feldman is still with us, and he loves us all. So, all right, I have a huge man crush on Corey Feldman. I always loved his movies. Rock and Roll High School Forever, which is the part 2, was like one of my favorite movies growing up.
I liked him in Robot Chicken.
I never completely embraced Robot Chicken. I don't remember Corey Feldman in any of the episodes I've seen.
Oh, there was a episode about the Corys teaming up and fighting crime.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But, so it took me a long time before I saw the first movie. And like many people, I was ignorant to the fact that Jason Voorhees is not in the first movie.
He's in it. He's just not
true.
The guy.
He's not the killer.
No, but he's in it because, I mean, you see his backstory and stuff, and I guess, statute of limitations. It's his mom.
Yeah.
This film was made in, like, 80.
Exactly. So if you haven't seen it yet, you
it's
should.
His mom.
But
you should. Kevin Bacon's in it. Still something you should see.
Kevin Bacon, wow.
Yeah. He's in it. He is one of the camp counselors.
But I have seen many of the terrible Jason movies. Notably, I remember seeing Jason X, where he turns into a cyborg.
He's in space.
He is in space.
He doesn't really need to be a cyborg because he's invincible anyway. But he's in space. And one of the best kills ever is in this movie, where he sticks a girl's head in like liquid nitrogen, and then smashes her face against a sink.
That's cool. But my favorite kill from that movie, one that was iconic with me, like kind of stuck with me, is well, it's not really a kill because it's kind of a hologram, but he takes these two girls in sleeping bags and he just picks them up and he like swings the sleeping bags into like a tree.
I don't think that was Jason X. I think that was Jason 6.
That's Jason X.
Oh, he also did it in 6.
I don't remember it in 6, but
or 5 or 4.
I will have to watch those again. But now
He's
I
done it
remember it
before.
in Jason X because they're trying to get away from him, so they get him in this like holodeck thing, and they put him back at a camp, and he's like, oh, and so he grabs the, and he gets out.
Yeah. Well, there is definitely one. It's the one with the psychic girl in it. I don't know which one that is.
I think that's got to be the one, but that's not in camp. The psychic girl is on a boat.
It's not a boat.
Mm-hmm. Jason Takes Manhattan, the one with the psychic girl.
Oh no, there's another one with the psychic girl.
Wow, how many psychic girls are there?
I don't know. But she's the one that, like, her and her mom and her therapist are going out to the woods and they are staying in a cabin. And she is having these horrible, horrible, like, visions of people dying. And then...
You're right. I remember that.
And then, like, the kids next door are actually kind of nice to her and stuff. Mm-hmm. I say kids. I feel so old. They're teenagers or early 20-agers. And, and they're actually kind of nice to her. They invited her over to a party and stuff. And they're like, well, Becky and David haven't shown up. And she's like, Becky and David? I just had a dream about a Becky and a David. And it's creepy stuff, but Jason does the whole flinging people around in their sleeping bags in that movie as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure which one that is, but I know that it's probably at least 5, maybe 6 or 7, because
I know it's not 1, 2, or 3, and it's not 7.
It's not.
7 was my favorite.
It's not 4, or 5. Because it might be 5 or
5 or 6.
It's not Jason Takes Manhattan. I don't actually know which one that is.
Oh, that's the one where he goes to Manhattan.
Yeah,
and he fights the Muppets for a part in a play.
Yeah, that would be scary because I have a crippling fear of puppets. But no, honestly, I just don't remember what number Jason Takes Manhattan is.
8. Jason Takes Manhattan is number 8.
Okay. So, final chapter, New Blood. I think it's Friday the 13th, A New Beginning is probably the one with the psychic. Because I never saw...
Tommy Jarvis goes to the graveyard. Okay, so it's not 6. Oh, wait, is it 6? Yeah. This has got to be it. I remember that beginning of that.
Okay, so 6. 6 is the one with the psychic girl. One of the ones with the psychic girls. At any rate, if you don't know what it is, in the 80s, there were these amazing horror films that were nothing more than just they followed a psycho around as he killed people. I mean, you could say that they're about something else. It's usually a bunch of teenagers go out camping, or they're like partying, or, somebody's got to babysit. And as soon as somebody has sex, the serial killer comes around and starts killing them. They're actually kind of perverted moral tales to some extent, because they always did the thing where if you partied and got drunk underage, or you did marijuana, or you had sex, then you had to die. And so, but yeah, they just...
Really, I think, like, these movies are the basis for a lot of movies that came later, as far as, this moral thing that you're talking about.
Yeah?
Yeah, because, I mean, like, before the slasher monster flicks, it wasn't like that, Every teenager before this series of kind of movies,
mm-hmm.
I mean, every teenager was like, "Oh, I'm Johnny, upstanding citizen of playing football in town.
Yeah,
I'm gonna save the day and save Susan." from The Blob.
Fair enough, yeah.
And then in this, it was all like, oh, let's make teenagers retarded, like real teenagers, and murder them because you should listen to your mom and not go camping.
I've never really thought about it like that, but now that you mention it, like, that's been a whole thing in horror ever since. It's always somebody, like, doing something that's probably not well advised. It's like, ooh, a creepy cave that nobody's ever survived. Let's go into
Jeepers
it.
Creepers. Oh, he's throwing dead bodies down there. Let's go see if there are any survivors. No, Justin Long, don't go in the hole. Shut up, Jessica Biel.
Yeah, so, I mean, that is an interesting point. But, yeah, they were just the prime examples. The slasher films, there's Jason, Michael Myers, who's in the Halloween films, Freddy Krueger. It's a little bit of a different beast in the
Texas Chainsaw Massacre and
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Chucky,
yes. The Child's Play movies.
Oh, dude, doll movies, those were weird. I hate doll movies.
I
never owned a single doll. I always had, like, the animals. No people voodoo doll things.
See, when I was like 10 or 11, I still loved horror movies, but I was convinced every night when the lights went out that Chucky was going to come out of the freaking corners and kill me. It took me a long time to get over that, too.
Oh, yeah, no, dude. My parents let me watch horror movies when I was really, really little. I was afraid of the dark until I was probably about 15.
Yeah.
And I was convinced that Freddy would get me if I wasn't, like, sleeping right in the middle of my bed. Or if I let my feet dangle off the couch, he was going to get me.
Yeah. My mother tried to keep me away from horror movies, keep me in the tame stuff. But every time she'd go out of town or go away for a weekend, my dad and I would watch just about anything we want, and I developed a taste for it to the point where they couldn't really keep it from me anymore. It's like, this is stuff that I love, must see. But yeah, so
I don't know why my parents let me watch these things when I was like 4 and 5. Like, honestly, I look back at it now and I'm like, what were they thinking? Were they thinking? Because I remember sitting there, like, with my parents eating popcorn and just watching, like, Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, or I don't know which one it was. Could have probably been an earlier one, because it seemed pretty scary. Which one was the one, if you know, where some lady's walking on, like, a red carpet, and the red carpet, like, starts to eat her? Like, she starts to sink into it?
I don't know. I'm not the right person to ask about the Nightmare on Elm Street series.
Yeah. I've been too creeped out to go back to the series since then. I've seen 1 and 2 again because, you have to watch Johnny Depp get murdered. Mm-hmm. And 2 because it was the only one at the video store at the time that I rented 1. So I got those 2. And then I've seen A New Nightmare and Freddy vs. Jason, which I think was crap. And by crap, I mean, definitely a B movie. Don't watch it if you think you're going to get scared.
No, yeah, I guess it's not a scary movie, but...
Because, they will never, ever let teenagers wear hats in school. I don't know why those teenagers were wearing hats in school.
It's a safer town than ours, I guess. They weren't worried.
Safe? They're getting murdered by nightmares.
Yeah, but, like, they didn't have to worry about gangs. It was just all... It's like, the kids are all right. We don't have to worry about the kids being jerks. We just have to worry about the monsters. And so, they're not going to live long. Let's let them have hats.
Yes, our logic is infallible.
So camp. But yeah, no, so the Friday the 13th, I think, was one of the first, well, not one of the first, but like one of the things that solidified camping into horror films.
Oddly enough, I was never actually afraid of camping. Because I used to go camping all the time, too.
Oh, I was never afraid of camping, but I've never been a fan of it. You can't get me to camp now, but it...
You want to go camping?
No.
Okay.
There's bears.
There's no bears, just raccoons, and you can get them drunk. It's so funny. Because you just soak marshmallows in vodka and throw them out into the woods, and then go, do something for an hour. Mm-hmm. Come back. The raccoons will have gotten into all of your shit. They will have taken your alcohol into the woods. I speak from experience.
I had to assume that you do, yes.
I'm going to give a shout out to Kevin, my best friend, who is currently on a boat in the Navy.
On a boat.
He's on a boat. Fast. He's throwing marshmallows at the raccoons.
You were swimming.
And they're drunk.
So, yeah, drunk swimming raccoons.
No, they took a cup, the red Solo cups?
Mm-hmm.
They took one up into a tree. I swear this raccoon's just hanging there, cup dangling out of his hand, digging marshmallows out of it with the other hand. I'm surprised he didn't fall out of the tree.
I guess, this is probably not their first kegger.
Probably not.
But, yeah, so... camping. I didn't do a lot of camping when I was younger just because, it's hot and sweaty and, or it's cold. When I was in Boy Scouts, we went camping and it would be freezing at night.
Yeah. Boy Scouts probably ruined it for you. They were probably, sneaking into your tent at night and stuff.
I can tell you exactly what ruined it for me. One night, it rained like nobody's business. And the very tail end of my sleeping bag was hanging out the end of the tent. I don't know how this happened, but it soaked overnight. I woke up frozen and wet and just it's never again.
I've had many raining camping adventures. The last time I took my dog, there is no dog, only Zool, to camping. It rained that night. It just poured and it rained, and he is freaking out because he's never had to sleep outside before. He's an inside dog.
Mm-hmm.
And he was just flipping out. He's like, "Why is it so noisy? What is hitting the tent? I want to get out of here." And I was like, "No, Fluffy, you have to lay down." He's a big old German Shepherd, so it was really difficult to get him to calm down and not tear the tent down.
Yeah. But Fluffy is a big baby, so good dog there. But so yeah, other notable good camping horror films, Sleepaway Camp series. This interesting series about this boy who dresses up like a girl and kills people who don't treat camp with the respect that it deserves.
Wow, really?
Seriously, yeah.
Wow. I have to see that.
It's like a Boy Scout,
A Boy Scout, wannabe Girl Scout who is totally into getting his badges.
Yeah, he's like, he wants people to want to do sing Kumbaya, roast marshmallows. Of course, he's surrounded by people who's like, we just want to kind of go have sex with each other, or, just
That's
smoke
not
pot.
how you go camping.
And so yeah, he gets all bent out of shape because there is no true camping spirit, and he murders people.
We could talk about Psycho and guys dressing up as girls.
We could, yeah,
to murder people.
Psycho is one real good example of that.
Oh, you know what I heard?
What's that?
This week, I think, the best film of all time, that title,
mm-hmm.
was taken away from Citizen Kane and given to Vertigo.
Really?
Yes, because Citizen Kane hasn't stood the test of time.
Yeah.
And Vertigo is so much better.
That's awesome, because Citizen Kane is terrible.
Terrible.
It
really only spoke to the people of that time.
And Hitchcock is timeless.
Hitchcock is timeless.
So that is awesome to hear. I'm glad to know that. There are not a lot of cross-dressing murder movies that I can think of.
What about Silence of the Lambs?
Oh, true. Buffalo Bill.
Yeah. Yeah, it was actually Buffalo Bill was.
Wasn't he based?
Yeah, he
based
was
on
based on somebody
Indiana?
from Indiana. We're from Indiana, where all the psychos come from. Buffalo Bill. Ted Bundy come from here?
I don't know.
I don't know, but all the psychos are from here because we have nothing to do. There's corn here, and in downtown you can do a couple things downtown, but really, no, you can't. There's like the zoo, and it's a really great zoo, but you can only go there so many times before you've seen everything.
So yeah, some people
are just like, I hate my life. Can't get the fucking trees right. I'm gonna kill everyone in the world.
Right. So yeah, you either become a psychopath or a hermit recluse movie nerd like myself. So
you're not a hermit. There's a lot of good concerts. We have really good local bands. So, because if you're not murdering people, you're singing songs about murdering people, and we get wonderful bands.
Exactly. Speaking of which, a band that has a song about men dressed as women killing people, Harley Poe. This is one of my favorite bands. I've even dragged Malaria to see them twice. No, wait, just once.
Twice.
No, twice. All right, so twice. And they make amazing horror movie based music. And the song in question is called "Transvestites Can Be Cannibals Too," and it's about a transvestite. Somebody likes to dress in women's clothing, and he just wants to go out in town and get some grocery shopping done. But people always feel like they need to give him crap. He's like, "Why are you wearing women's clothing?" It's like you're weird and disgusting. And so he's like, well, then I'm going to kill you because you're rude, and then I'm going to eat you because I don't want to be wasteful. That part's not actually in the song, but I guess human meat's good. It saves you having to spend money on not human meat.
There's speaking of men who like to dress as women and B movies, Ed Wood Jr. was a transvestite.
That he was.
And he has he's basically known for being the worst director of all time. Period.
Yeah, he made movies, but he did it fast and loose. He'd get scenes in one take that he should have
had
reshot.
No money, really, and he conned a lot of people into giving him enough money to make a film, and he actually totally exploited Bela Lugosi in his final days.
Yeah, and
he was like, "Dude, you're on morphine. I can give you money for morphine, so will you just take this one shot, in this film for me?" And he actually took this one scene that Bela Lugosi did, and he just put it in a movie. I think it was Plane 9 from Outer Space. After Bela Lugosi died.
Right.
He was like, I'm not even going to ask him if I can use this footage. I'm just going to put it in this movie. And the man was dead. It's like, dude, Stop being such a dick. But he made a movie, I think it was called Victor and Victoria or something like that.
It's Glenn or Glenda.
Oh, Glenn or Glenda.
Yep.
And I knew it rhymed with Linda. And it was talking about how he likes to dress in Angora sweaters like a lady. Turns out he actually liked to dress in sweaters like a lady.
Yeah. Yeah, he's this famous director, and he made what is infamous. Yes, he's made what is one of the supposedly worst movies ever made, Plan 9 from Outer Space,
which I made a parody of, and you can watch on YouTube probably.
All right.
Plan 9.5 from Outer Space.
Plan 9. Do you know your YouTube channel URL?
Oh, Jeremalaria.
Jeremalaria?
It's Jere, Malaria. can look that up.
Yeah. So that way you can check out some of Malaria's awesome videos.
Yeah, like Windows 666. Hilarious.
I've watched quite a few of them. They're good. So yeah.
Those are the only two.
There's a Tim Burton film based on Ed Wood's life.
It's called Ed Wood.
Yeah.
Stars Johnny Depp. So if you're into Johnny Depp, like we know you are.
Exactly.
Because he was in Nightmare on Elm Street.
Exactly.
Heartburn.
So yeah, Ed Wood is an amazing director and
amazingly terrible. Have you seen his movies, Mike? Like, I love B movies. I really do. I really, really do. But I bought his box set and I was like, I'm gonna watch this. I watched Jailbait and I watched Plan 9 from Outer Space and I watched Glen or Glenda and probably Night of the Ghouls.
I think I watched Jailbait and possibly Glen or Glenda. And yeah,
I watched Bride of the Monster. That one was actually not that bad. But I was just like, I can't get this time back in my life.
Yeah, he was notorious for bad production quality. I remember specifically there was like a newspaper shot and they clearly had typed something out on a piece of paper and put it on top of the newspaper. It was clear as day. But, you know, it got the point across, but you could tell that it was such a prop.
Yeah. In Plan 9 from Outer Space, they had a graveyard that was literally like foam gravestones. There's like 3 or 4 foam gravestones, and they had police officers walking through it, and then they would take another shot of the police officers walking through the same set, going the opposite direction to make to make it look like it was a huge graveyard, and to make it look like these were not the same cops.
Yeah. Now Ed Wood, this doesn't make any sense whatsoever, but for whatever reason, when I think Ed Wood, I'm also always reminded of John Waters.
Because they kind of look the same.
All right. And John Waters is a just very quaint, gay old man that makes interesting films.
He made that one movie that got an X rating, and it had Michael Douglas in it.
Michael Douglas?
Yeah. And
I'm not sure.
And it should have gotten like an R rating because it showed a little bit of pubic hair. And apparently the MPAA are Nazis.
Well, the MPAA are unfair against independent filmmakers. But one of my favorite John Waters movies, one that's really, in with the theme of this podcast, is Serial Mom.
Oh, Serial Mom was good.
Yep. And Serial Mom...
You will not wear white after Labor Day!
Serial Mom is just this fun, little campy, strange movie about this mother who just loves her family so much that she kills people that don't treat her family right. So she's also a little bit crazy and kills people who wear white after Labor Day, but that's a whole other thing. But yeah, she's played by Kathleen Turner. She's like the perfect housewife, mother kind of a thing. And yeah, she just goes on a killing spree. Math teacher's giving her son too much trouble. This boy's being a bit too handsy with her daughter. She just kills him. And it's just this fun little movie. It's a lot of fun. It's a good time. It's got Ricky Lake and Kathleen Turner, of course. It's got an early Matthew Lillard from Scream fame.
From SLC Punk.
SLC Punk as well, yes. Yep, Serial Mom. But
Scott Morgan. Nobody knows who he is.
But yeah, it has Tracy Lord as well. That's right. John Waters took Tracy Lord, the underage porn star, and he cast her in a lot of legit ish roles in his movies. I mean, you have to understand, if you've seen a lot of John Waters, none of his stuff is really legit. His earliest his most famous film, I think, is called Pink Flamingos. And if you've ever... Just don't watch that if you've got a faint heart at all. It is absolutely disgusting and filthy. But it's interesting to see. This was back when he was still working with... Coming back to Men Dressed as Women. He used to cast this man named Divine. Well, I don't know his real name, but... He was a character that went by the name Divine.
Babs Johnson.
Babs Johnson. Interesting.
Yep.
Yeah, and he's just a big kind of, not even an attractive man. He's just a big man, and he dresses up as a
Divine
woman.
is his like stage name,
right.
Like legit.
But yeah, so she played this supposedly the filthiest person ever. That was kind of the title that she was championing. There were these two other people that were trying to win the title away from her, and they just kind of have a filth off. And I mean, you know, it's one of those movies that if you're into movies, you hear about, and it's worth checking out, but just be warned, it is not for the faint of heart.
Holy shit, dude, our podcast is 45 minutes long already.
Yeah.
We just get to talking.
Well, I mean, it's good stuff to talk about.
Oh, Penny. Say hi to the people, Penny. Penny says, I am a dog and I'm very quiet currently.
Penny is a very quiet dog, usually.
Usually, unless you knock on the door. And then she gets angry.
But yeah, so, I mean, I don't have much else to talk about. I think maybe we can wrap up for this week, unless there's something that's burning a hole in your mind.
No, my cold is probably burning a hole in my face currently.
Yep, I have during this show gotten a text from a friend of mine, Billy, who wants to be on our podcast quite a bit. So we have that hopefully to look forward to.
Cool, maybe we could do another one tomorrow.
Another one tomorrow?
I'm down for that.
It's a possibility. We'll see what he's up to.
Edit this thing up tonight. Put in the theme song that Seth awesomely made for us in 30 seconds.
Our friend Seth, he created the Ponder Couch blog that I write on and that this podcast is available on. And he made us an intro song, which I liked a lot. It is actually on our first episode because I had to do some mixing with it. So you've heard it by now, and you're going to hear it this time too. But
yep.
Thanks to Seth for that. That was awesome.
Props to Seth and the Ponder Couch.
And the Ponder Couch.
And Malaria, or ModestAlchemist AwesomeSauce, which is going to also have a podcast on there.
Yes. I think it is. Malaria is AwesomeSauce.
It's ModestAlchemist AwesomeSauce.
Okay. Well,
my internet name is ModestAlchemist.
This is a handle she has from back in the AIM days.
Back in the AIM days.
Yep. Yeah.
So is Jeremalaria and Malaria. Back in the AIM days. I'm so old.
my handle that I use everything now is my Xbox 360 Live handle.
You realize 13-year-olds right now have no idea what AIM is?
I know.
They're like, VHS, what the hell?
Well, I mean, if they're anything like me, texting has made AIM just irrelevant in my life.
Oh yeah, there's no point.
Although I do have an awesome smartphone, so I have AIM on here. And Yahoo Messenger.
Because that's useful.
Sometimes it is. Some people are just like, I can't text. And I'm like, well, I can AIM you, I guess.
Alright. So, I have to go pick up Alex from the drive-in.
Alright. Well, then...
They do exist.
Yes, we do have one lovely drive-in around here.
Okay. You can murder people, you can be a musician, or you can go to the drive-in. Those are the only things you can do in Indiana.
Be sure to visit soon.
Yeah, no, don't. Actually, our drive-in, being as it's like the only one in the state, is very nice. Went to Atlanta last year, went to their drive-in, and they had more screens, but like the inside, I was just like, I don't want to touch things because I'm afraid this building's gonna fall down on me.
Yeah, the building was a little bit iffy, and the thing is, I think that's one of a couple of buildings because I think it's like 2-3 screen arenas or something.
But still, that was weird.
The thing that your drive-in has over a lot of drive-ins is a pretty nice bathroom.
Yeah.
A lot of drive-ins, you get that like kind of outhouse feel, and it's just that's not where you want to be.
Yeah. No, like my drive-in, the Board of Health has gone in there and said this is probably the cleanest restaurant in Indianapolis.
Nice.
And not because like everywhere else is dirty, but because we keep it super, super clean.
So yeah, go to the drive-in and get yourself a snack.
You won't get diseases because we keep it clean. We keep it clean for no diseases.
And malaria doesn't work there anymore, so...
No, I don't, but...
So you can't get infected with malaria.
That's right. But I might be there. So watch out.
Anyways, I think we need to wrap this up. For this week, I am Mike Keltner.
And I'm Malaria.
Have a good week. And watch horror movies and stuff.
All of them.
All of them.